So, yeah, I don't know if you can tell. This boulder's probably about 20 inches long, about 12 inches wide. I got this big heavy-duty pry bar here and barely able to budge it. So, yeah, most people would say, well, plant somewhere else. But I don't know. I feel like I'm going to see if I can get this thing out of here. So let's see what happens. I'm going to try to split this rock using a set of wedges and chisels that I picked up a few years ago. Never get around to using them, and now we're going to see how they work. So using also a hammer drill, 1/2-inch bit, and I'll show you how that goes. I got a couple holes drilled already, and let's check it out. Another thing I should have mentioned, the drill. This is an SDS hammer drill. Takes these special SDS bits, different than regular bits. Hammering action on a drill is pretty much essential when you're trying to get into a solid stone like granite. So this was an inexpensive one I picked up at Harbor Freight. Don't remember what I paid for it, but it does the job. I don't use it that often, but when you need to drill into stone or concrete or whatever, this is the way to go. So I'm a newbie at this. First time I've ever tried it. And, well, if I make some mistakes, hopefully you can learn from whatever the heck I'm doing wrong. But as you can see, once I show you the rock again, I've decided to split it into thirds. I was afraid if I went half, it might be still too heavy for me to get out of the hole. The hole is down a couple of feet, so let me just insert I'll show you how I insert this last chisel, and then we'll get hammering, see what happens. I position it like this, stick the end in. You got to think about which way, as the chisel's driven down, which way the force is going to go. Along this line, I want the rock to be splitting this way. So as you drive the chisel, the two wedges will force the rock to split open that way. Once I get it in, give it a couple of taps, and then we're ready to go. Let's see what happens. Whoops, there's one mistake right there. Tap this baby in. And it's funny, I can see some splitting happening up at the top surface. I hope that's all right. But you can kind of hear the sound. Yeah. Does not look good. Funny how it's splitting. I probably did something wrong here. I'm sure you guys out there will tell me what I did wrong. As you can see, that did not go very well. It's not the way the videos I watch. That's not how it's supposed to happen. I don't know. I'm not a geologist, but I'd say that's probably granite. Pretty hard rock, so it's supposed to split, obviously, along a line here, and it just kind of cracked off. Doing something wrong. I might re-watch a couple videos. I might drill out these holes a little more, see if I can get it to split. I might be setting these things too shallow, the hole's not deep enough. I don't know. Something's going wrong here, but we'll keep working at it. All right, so I'm back. Watched some YouTube videos, and I think I learned a couple of things. I probably have my 1/2-inch, geez, I can't even think of the name of it now. Feather and chisel, or geez, I can't even get the terminology correct. But something about having it be like 1.5 times the length in between your holes, and I'm definitely closer than that. The other thing that everyone seemed to be splitting rocks that were up in the air, in terms of not buried in the ground, I should say. So I was thinking maybe I don't have, there's just too much dirt around. I don't have enough of it dug out. So I dug it out a little bit more. I even got the pry bar under there. Since I dug out some more, I was able to get the pry bar under and lift it up an inch or two. And I stuck a wedge in there to try to keep it up off the ground. I think if there's less force kind of holding the stone together, then it's got an easier time to split. So I think the best video I saw was from Brian Post. If you want to check his video out, seems like very knowledgeable, expert on this stuff. He was splitting huge blocks of granite. He was using 2-inch, or I'm sorry, 1/2-inch feather and chisel things that I've got here. So he's using the same size, and just he had his hole split a little more. He was, it was a nice square block that he was splitting, and it was up in the air. He actually had it on a piece of board, so there was really nothing holding it together. One other thing he said was, wait about 30 seconds. Once you give it a round of wax, wait about 30 seconds just to let the rock adjust to the new pressure, which I thought was pretty interesting. Having some splitting off the top, I guess, that can happen. I've got a very irregular piece here where some holes are deeper than others, and now that I split pieces off, it's certainly a mess, but let me give this a try, and we'll see what happens. Oh, by the way, I did also decide to add one more in the front here. So I've got 5 now. It just seemed like as I dug out more that maybe I ought to get one a little bit closer to the edge. So see if that makes a difference. So here's one other little interesting story, I guess you'd call it. My great-grandfather on my mother's side, Santo Gennarelli, he was a stone cutter. And I remember my father telling me stories that he knew how to just look at a rock and know exactly where to hit the thing just with chisels, right? And know how to crack that rock into whatever piece he wanted to. So apparently I did not inherit the stonecutter gene. So he's somewhere both laughing at me and shaking his head at the same time. So maybe Santo can give me a little bit of luck here and help me get through this process. Oh yeah, and Santo, I only knew him, I was a young kid, and he was very old. He only spoke Italian, but he'd always be sitting in the rocking chair at my grandmother's house. So we used to call him Grandpa in the rocking chair to distinguish him from my mother's father, my grandfather. So Santo was Grandpa in the rocking chair, and he knew how to split rocks. And another hint from Brian's post was, Brian Post is his name, from Brian Post's YouTube video, was that he used a tube, just a piece of 1/2-inch or 3/8 inch tube, to blow out the hole. Make sure after you're drilling, get all the dust out of there so your chisel can get down there. So another little tidbit. So I also switched to a 3-pound hammer. Should be plenty of force. It's got a shorter handle, and apparently I only paid $6 for this. So wait a minute, it says 4, not 3. So it's a 4-pound, just shorter handle than my other one, and I think I got a pretty good deal on that for $6. Miller's Fall, it's a good name. So you want that high-pitched sound. Seems like I'm getting it in the middle 3, but not on the ends. Of course, these are at different depths because of the curvature of the boulder here, so that could be an issue also. See, kind of dull, pretty high-pitched, fairly high-pitched, fairly high-pitched, dud, thud. Yeah, and I'm just chipping some off here, so I don't know. Trying to see if I can get the same pitch on all of these to know that they're all sort of putting, I think, the right amount of pressure. So another thing I've done is to use this chisel here to drive down my feathers a little bit. Just to get them tight. I've noticed that if they're not seated very well, they can loosen up a little bit. So that seems to help. I think I'm finally starting to see a crack. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get above it. You see it goes down to the side there, coming in between, all the way over to the side over here. So maybe it's finally starting to go. So definitely sounding different. This wedge is loosening up. Yeah, you can see the whole thing opening up finally. Now the other thing Brian's post mentioned was be careful of losing your feathers and wedges. They tend to disappear over time. So now I'm going to take the pry bar. Let's see what happens. Interestingly, I'm not sure that I'm all the way through, because it didn't want to seem to separate into 2 pieces. And there goes most of my feather and wedges. At least I got 2 of the feathers. Hopefully I'll be able to find the rest of them. So the rock is quite deep. It might be pretty interesting to see if I can get this thing out of here, but you don't really want to see me struggle with that. So let me fool around with that off camera. There could be some 4-letter words flying. So, doesn't this look interesting? Been using some smaller rocks to get leverage in there, both sides, working it up. What do you think? Am I going to be able to get that up, or is it going to fall back down? All right, so that first piece is finally out. It was definitely a struggle. I just kind of kept working it back and forth, putting all these rocks over here underneath it, prying it up till I got it close enough to the top where I could finally just grab it and pull it up. Luckily, it's kind of rounded on most of the sides, so it rolled a little bit. But then the weirdest thing, so I remember how I told you in Brian Post's video, he said be careful of your feather and chisels, because they tend to go missing. So I was just digging for 5 minutes. I'll show you. Going pretty deep. I only found one feather, that's it. So I'm still missing, what, 5 times 50? I'm still missing 12 pieces. The only thing I can think of is, I mean, this rock clearly has shifted, so they're probably underneath. That's why I started digging underneath a little bit. So either that or the earth has swallowed that up and I'll never see them again. They're halfway to China by now. I've still only found one more, one more chisel, still missing, what, 11 pieces. But just thought I'd show you this quickly. It's not exactly at the bottom of the boulder, but where I was drilling, you can see the drill marks from the top point there to the bottom of the rocks, about 18 inches. So, you know, I guess I was hoping maybe the thing had a flat bottom, but it was a much thicker boulder than I thought it was, and I think I was pretty fortunate that I was able to get it to split on really my second attempt. So, all right, it's about 6 p.m. I'm toast here. I'm done. So I was able to find all the feathers, but I'm missing 2 chisels, which is sort of weird because they're bigger. You'd think I would have been able to see those. Sifted through it pretty carefully. They're just gone. So I think they were just casualties of this contest. The other thing in this man versus boulder, farmer versus boulder, whatever you want to call it, I think I'm going to call it a draw. Basically, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this is for a blueberry shrub, and there's a patch here of a dozen, and they're just sort of, you can see them here. It's still dormant season, but they're kind of staggered back and forth across, and this is exactly where one had to go. And I just was stubborn, crazy, just didn't want to move it a couple of feet. Wanted to keep my spacing. People would have been forever asking me, why did you put that one there? But anyways, with this hunk of rock gone, pretty much where this red digging bar is here is where I could put the blueberry. I could even cheat. It's pretty much 5 feet over from the 2 next to it, from that one over there and that one over there. So I think it'll grow just fine, right? The roots will have room. The mycelium will be able to go right up against that rock and get minerals that the plant needs. It might even be a bonus. So yeah, I think let's call it a draw. And we're going to leave the rest of the boulder where it is. Hope you found that interesting. It was a struggle. Ultimately, I think I achieved my objective to get this hole pretty much where I wanted it and get it good enough so that this blueberry shrub will be able to grow well. All right, that's about it. Take care. See you next time.